the monocots. And that's important because monocots generally have parallel veins. If you're ever in floral school, right, a lot of weddings will have monocot flowers. And then those veins that are actually parallel, like grasses, right? Because it looks prettier in presentations. And then flowers are usually in multiples of three. And then stems, if you look at all of the, I call them blood vessels, they don't carry blood, but vessels, right? The vascular tubes or the vascular tissues, right? They're scattered. You know, if you cut into that stem, they're all scattered. There's no rhyme or reason for them. And they also generally, okay. Am I recording, Stephen? Oh, no, I'm not recording. Okay, sorry. It's okay. We may have to record.
It says you are, Sherry.
Oh, weird. Okay. On my end, it doesn't show. Thank you, Dom. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then roots. Roots are usually called fibrous. So they're also everywhere. So when you think of the veins and you think of the roots, they're also everywhere. And so dicots, good indication that you have a dichotic plant or a seed is if, how many of you have ever split peas or lentils or beans? They split nicely, right? There's two actually storage units right there. So two cotyledons. And then we also have branched veins, not just going parallel to each other, but branched. And then the floral parts goes in fours or fives. And then your vascular bundles or your blood vessels, right? There's a nice ring of them. There's a nice ring of them. And then they usually have a taproot. So dandelions are a really good example of your dichotic plants. And so monocots, such as rice, corn, wheat, barley, agaves, palms, and grasses, are actually considered a more important plant on our earth. Can anybody guess why? Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, wow. Wow, that's gorgeous. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, because they feed us the most. They feed, yeah, as it pertains to humans, yes, because they do feed us the most. Yeah. And then just really quickly, this is another example of how monocots and dicots grow, right? Monocots, there's one storage up here, and this is something like corn. And then this is a bean plant. And then it has those veined out, branched out leaves. And so, anyways, I don't know if any of y'all ever consider going into floral design or working at HEB. Yeah, me too. I have. Uh-huh. But I love doing that kind of stuff. Yes. And then I would be so smart. Oh, you got a monocot. Did I sound smart to you? They're going to say yes. They'd be like, okay, we're friends. And so this is just another example of how we can help you become better farmers and faster farmers, right? There is something called scarification. So this is the weakening of a seed coat. I told you earlier that you can weaken or injure the seed coat, right? By either taking a nail clipper and clipping it or puncturing a hole, right? You can also scarify it. You can literally just scratch the surface. If you do what we used to do in research, we used to collect all these bluebonnet seeds, and bluebonnet seeds have a thick outer coat. Man, those things can survive a nuclear bomb. Yeah, you can get sandpaper. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, those red things.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, mountain laurel seeds. Yes, you can scratch those too against rocks, and you can't get rid of that seed coat. Yeah. I know.
It's like to do that over there.
What are they called? Fire seeds, or what are they called? Burn. Anyways, yes, I've been burned by one of those, by the way. Yeah.
That's a mountain laurel.
Yeah, those are mountain laurels. They're not true laurels, but we call them mountain. So we like to be different here in Texas. And so scarifying, what we usually do in the lab is you'll get all of those bluebonnet seeds when they're dry, and we'll put rocks, we'll put glass, and we will tumble them for hours. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And then after that, we'll stick them in the freezer. And so blue pot, yeah, for real. And then the other thing you can do is you can also soak your seeds. You can soak them 8 hours, 24 hours. Don't do it more than 48 hours because you're going to then get some stinky seeds. And so you'll see them get nice and beautiful and really, really absorb that water. I think this is such a beautiful process. I do this for raisins whenever I'm baking. I'll actually soak my raisins in orange juice. And so they'll get plump. And so I'm not biting into a hard raisin, which is the number one reason why kids don't eat raisins, by the way. And so they'll be biting into a beautiful, you can also do it for blueberries, a beautiful, juicy something. materials that you will need for seed starting. I'm going to actually come back to this slide because, yes, I'm going to actually go over that. Shout out to biodegradable pots. Today, I brought something even better than biodegradable pots. Ooh, what is this called? Yeah. So this actually is a no pot way of doing transplants. You fill these cells with soil, you compact it, and then y'all can actually practice today. But I didn't bring the best soil for it. It's definitely a potless way of doing seedlings. It's also a very sustainable way because it's cheap, right? But anyways, I'm going to talk about compostable. Yes, pots.
What is it called?
Yeah, what is it called? Sorry.
Soil blocker.
Yeah, soil blocker. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I think there you go. Thank you very much. The swelling in my left eye is causing my brain to not think of the things. I have an excuse today. And as Nina says it, sometimes Sherry, it just shows that you're human. So thank you. Shout out to Nina. So we have something called compostable biodegradable pots. And so it breaks down naturally in specific time and in a specific time frame. Sometimes whenever you see compostable, sometimes whenever you see biodegradable, and sometimes when you see recyclable, that does not mean it's going to be like a week and that pot's going to be compostable, right? Sometimes, like for example, biodegradable, I bought biodegradable puppy trash bags for the poop. And let me tell you, I did a science experiment. That stuff did not go away. It was just plastic, but I paid extra money for that. And so biodegradable does not mean compostable, which means it should degrade over time. And then recyclable, of course, that just means you're going to reuse it in a different way. And so recyclable broken down into raw materials, into other materials. And so if y'all are going to be using any of these, right, if you want to be more sustainable, I highly recommend paper like we did here with this one down to the right here. Paper is great. They also have peat moss or cocoa core or coconut shell pots that they sell nowadays. That's also a great option. Really great option. But reusing everything, right? Reusing our seed starting kits. So here, if you don't have one of these are actually pretty cheap. I think you can buy these for like, I don't know, $2. This is a 74 cell tray. That's how they are named. I think the one on the picture is a 104 cell tray. It usually comes with a bottom, and usually there are holes. Sorry, this is a speaker. At the bottom of your cells. If you buy a pot and there are no holes at the bottom, I almost guarantee you your plant is not going to make it unless it's a pothos or a money plant, right? You need the holes. And then you need something to hold the water, at the bottom. So with these particular types of trays, it's really smart. You bottom water, meaning I only have to put water in the tray. I don't have to spray it on top of the seedling. And let me tell you, this is awesome stuff. I'm going to put this down because when you bottom water, you're not splashing any water up. And so if you don't have 100% clean soil, none of that can go onto your leaves. And so that's a really great way to water seedlings. And then these are all loofahs. For those of you who use loofah sponges, this is one of my favorite. I know Gardobia got sick and tired of loofahs because of me last year because I planted too many. I'm sorry. You can eat loofahs. This is my spiel on loofahs. I love loofahs. Yes, they taste just like squash. You just got to get them when they're young. And I'm planting a ton of these tomorrow at Castle Hill. So,
So in the very beginning, you water them at the bottom.
Yep, good. And so I highly recommend these seedling trays if you're poor, like I was. And so, or maybe still am. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to show you a little trick, and I learned this from a farmer. You can start seeds in any container. Right. And your concept is you want something that has holes on the bottom. You want a really good, nice soil mix, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. And if you don't have a plastic cover like this does, right? If you don't have its plastic cover to put on top, you can actually get saran wrap. After you planted all your seeds out, cover your top with saran wrap And then the next day, there's going to be a little bit of condensation on that, and flip your saran wrap over. And so that way your soil is actually getting the right amount of moisture, and it's not escaping too quickly for your seedlings, but you're also doing the greenhouse effect. Do not keep that saran wrap on because that's going to be too much moisture for your seedling when it pops out. So flip it. Yeah, I'm saving y'all a little bit of money. All right, cool. And then I always recommend, if you don't have enough money for a seed starting mix, which is usually sterile, it does not have any bad bacteria in it or fungi in it, right? You can always make your own. For mine, I used straight up compost from the bottom of my composting bin at home, and these turned out great. I just bottom watered, right? I bottom watered. And so the other thing is, pot sizing. Okay. I know all of y'all had made this mistake. I know. I actually brought y'all some subsoil if y'all wanted to take a look at it. Subsoil. We talked about that last week. I know. And so when you are repotting, right? So let's say I'm going to take one of these 74 cells. You squeeze out your plant, and I'm going to take out one. When you are repotting, as tempting as it is, and I'm going to look for one with 2 sets of leaves. So 4 leaves total. That's how you know it's ready to repot. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. So gently. Oh, perfect. This is a perfect plug. How do I know? Because I did it. I'm joking. I'm joking. That's not how I did it. No. It's, whenever you are potting up a pot, you don't want to go any bigger than 3 inches bigger than what your pot originally was. So this would be perfect for in here. Try not to do this. Oh, I wanted to grow super fast and super quickly. I'm going to put in this huge pot that's way too big for it. No, try not doing that with your transplants. If you have no choice, that's fine. But it'll definitely be more successful in a smaller pot. Usually all that good nutrients that was in here, you're just going to waste it. Yeah. And so this is a great option, right? And always, 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 as we teach the kids, tickle the roots so it doesn't keep growing in a circle, right? You don't ever want the roots going in one way. And so this would be a happy pot for that. And then I actually brought these 2 because one is smaller than this. This can actually be an upsize of pot as well. You're giving it more depth in this one, even though it's a little bit bigger. Yeah, I know. I think we've all made that mistake where we're just like putting in this huge big pot. Don't do that. Oh, if you want to be a great gardener. This would also be great here. So this transplant, it's breaking now, but this transplant would be perfect in one of these 6 cells. Yes, question, go. I wouldn't do less soil. Just fill it out. Yeah, just fill it out. Yeah, that's a really good
Can you
question.
do full plants?
Can you do what?
A couple of like 2 or 3 plants in a bigger one if that's all you got?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yes. Yes. You can do a couple plants in the pot.
Transplant that size on the ground. Don't have to put them in
That's correct. That's correct.
about non-vegetable.
Yes, this is only if you're going to pot up. So that's if I wanted to sell this or whatnot. You can totally take this because it is established. It actually has five leaves on it. You can put this directly in the soil now. We're going to talk about hardening off here in a minute. And that's from you taking your babies and letting them get used to outside, because I grew these all inside underneath a lamp. And so I'll talk about hardening off here in a minute. I'm going to go into soil amendments. When I put this slide presentation together, I was like, nowhere on the internet could I find resources on every single soil amendment that I see in the store. And so I actually made a list for you all. And so I think this is great because whenever you're coming into issues, this is where you can become a doctor and put your doctor hat on, because I know we all want to be doctors. And so, but you can just call yourself a soil or a plant doctor. And so soil amendments are there to help your plants. They are not to take the place of soil. They are there to put in moderation through your prescription in your soil. Okay. And so they are not to take the place of your soil. So anyways, this is any material added to in soil to make it better, to improve it. And so the first soil amendment I have to give a huge shout out is to compost. I know at Gardopia, we do start out with compost and a lot of it. But if you already have established soil, you're only going to be adding it in moderation. And so it helps with everything. Compost is the solution. If you have 250 acres of really bad hill country land, how do you fix it? Add compost, right? Add that organic matter. It helps with keeping your water in and then also your microbes, right? And then it's really good for all soils. When to apply compost to your gardens? We like to recommend at least twice a year. Twice a year. Your fall crop will need a fresh set of compost, and your spring crop will also need a fresh set of compost. And we usually recommend, if you're having it in beds, fill up your beds, right? If you have it in a pot, 1 to 2 inches, maybe 1 to 3 inches. And so, yeah, compost is
Putting it on your land, how thick of a layer should you be?
at least 1 inch. She asked if you're putting it on your land, how thick? At least 1 inch. Yeah. If you're putting it on your lawn, it's also recommended about 1 inch. Yeah. Soil amendments, aged manure. And notice how I didn't say just manure. This is really something that a lot of people have not learned yet. Whenever you're using manure, you can treat it 2 ways. You can let it just sit out in the sun and bake for about a couple months, 3 months, I would say. Or you can cook it in compost. And so when you do that, you are either letting it degrade and the bad bacteria leave, or you are frying and cooking and killing the bad bacteria that was in it. And what does manure do? Man, amazing things. It introduces a lot of good bacteria. It adds nitrogen, phosphorus, and organic matter, right? And then it's really, really good for nitrogen hungry crops. If y'all don't know this, most vegetables are heavy feeders. You should be fertilizing your winter crops a lot more than your spring crops because they're really heavy feeders. I know, but you're like, Sherry, but they don't fruit. That's true. But your crops, because they're in the soil and they're thicker and they need to spend more energy making that food for you, they're heavy feeders. And so leafy greens, corn is also a heavy nitrogen eater. Yeah, that's for sure. All right. And then here, vermicompost. I know we talked about this last time. This is a great, maybe one of the best. They call it farmer's gold, right? For a reason. A soil amendment that you can add in. It just provides support for all the microbial life in your soil. And so you want to enhance all of the microbial life because those microbes and those fungi and mycorrhizae will provide more nutrients to your plants. And then can you buy a lot of earthworms and just put it in your garden? That's a really good question. Oh, I love that question. Can you buy a lot of earthworms and put it in your garden? I will say this. Every living thing needs a certain amount of space to live, right? And so I would imagine that if you introduce a ton of earthworms, they wouldn't have a lot to eat to where there was enough to support them all. And they reproduce really quickly. So yes, put a couple in, let them reproduce and be happy. Yes, that's what I would do. Actually, that's what we do at our schools. Ashton just brought some earthworms at Cotton. Shout out to Cotton if y'all are in here. And so use it in, you can also make compost tea. We're going to talk about compost tea as well. So vermicompost or the earthworm castings to make compost tea. And I'm sure y'all have heard about compost tea, right? Yeah, very easy to make. Other soil amendments that I want to give a shout out to is bone meal. So I know a lot of you, whenever I say that or you see this, you think of, oh, poor grandma. Right? So ashes. But this is really awesome. I do really like that a lot of the soil amendments that we do have are the aftermath or the leftovers of what we have consumed meats, right? From our factories, from our especially meat factories. And so bone is cooked bone and we grind it up. And so what that does is that'll introduce a lot of phosphorus and calcium, obviously, into our gardens. And so if you ever have blossom end rot, it is recommended. And if you don't know what blossom end rot is, it's when your tomatoes are beautiful on the top and you flip them upside down and it looks like something's eating them on the bottom or they're degrading. And so that's on tomatoes especially. We recommend bone meal. And bone meal is super duper easy to introduce into your garden. Just sprinkle it on top and mix it in, rake it in. And then it's really, really great for root crops, for bulbs, for those of you who like tulips, and then any flowering plant really. Yes, go ahead.
You just like grind up like.
So you have to cook them. You have to really break them down. Yes, it's
Long.
it's dry.
Like in the oven?
Yes, yes.
Is that dry at how?
Yes. Yes. So I would recommend if you want to do, if you, y'all are cute. I'm about to talk about one where I actually went to the ocean and I got seaweed thinking that I could make seaweed extract. So funny. I know I'm laughing now, but I was serious back then. So yes, you can actually, it's not burning necessarily, but you can slow cook it to where it's like super dry and brittle. And then you can grind it up and use that as well. Yes. You asked about boiling. That's not hot or hot enough. Yes. Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it's almost like dehydrate. Yes, go ahead. He said it. It's gonna be better if you just go to Tractor Supply and buy the bag. But for you science teachers in here, which I know we have a couple of, everybody, Amazon, soil amendments.
Yes.
I don't want y'all to get confused like I was from bone meal and blood meal. When you think of blood, right? It's a lot different from bones. I don't think about calcium when I think about blood. And so you're going to think of blood meal, think of nitrogen, lots of nitrogen, right? And so this is really, really good also for deterring pests because it smells horrible. This stuff, oh man, oh man. Yeah, I think the first time I opened up a bag, I was like, I don't think I should have bought this. And so it smells bad and it does deter a lot of, if you have moles, voles, if you have raccoons, they hate the smell of this. And so squirrels. And so
Smell for long? Like if I sprinkle in my garden, is it gonna still keep them away, but like the smell will dissipate?
it definitely once the smell dissipates, your critters will come back.
Oh.
But if you're having a really bad infestation, this is a really good option.
Yeah, what does it attract?
What does it attract?
Animals.
It can attract flies.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
Vultures.
Yeah, it attracts. Okay, it attracts her dogs. Okay, it does not attract my dog. And so also really good for leafy greens. And then if you have just a really sad plant, just give it a boost of blood meal. Yes, can attract yes, I guess dogs, yes, anything. But sprinkle around plants.
I guess coyotes too, right?
I think coyotes are actually deterred from this. Yeah, usually coyotes are deterred from any urine smell. This is what we use a lot of, actually a majority of our schools is fish emulsion, and I love fish emulsion. This is also a byproduct from a lot of our fish factories. And so we're actually doing a favor whenever you're buying that expensive fish emulsion that was trash for a factory, right? Should have been free, but they had to pay for the bottle. And so if y'all can actually see the NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium here is 511. It is a very slow release nitrogen source. Also smells, but really, man, our gardens do so well after we give a little bit of fish emulsion. And so this also has micronutrients because there are bones in here as well. And so there is something called foliar feeding. And so this is what is used by a lot of nurseries that actually grow houseplants. Foliar feeding, which makes your beautiful large leaves. If you look at pothos or monsteras, they will actually get this and dilute it in water, which is what you're supposed to do. It's about 2 teaspoons per 2 gallons. And you shake that up and you can spray it onto the leaves and it actually feed the plant. So orchids.
This one?
This one, or there's another one I'm going to show as well. You can feed your plants and it'll actually make them greener. It will help a lot with just feeding your plants. So foliar feeding, I do not encourage us gardeners growing food to do foliar feeding. Because what this does is it really does not encourage your plant to have roots. It's like, oh, I'm getting food from the leaves, therefore, I will not put out a ton of roots. And so we don't want that happening usually. If you are doing hydroponic, aquaponic growing though, you can also practice this as well. And so remember to dilute, follow directions always. Rock phosphate. This is an interesting one. So I've gone back and forth with rock phosphate. We have phosphate in our soil right now, but it is not broken down enough to where plants can use it. We also have alkaline soil, so it's very basic. Whenever you have a basic soil, your rock phosphate is not going to work as well. And so what you could do is introduce a little bit more rock phosphate, or right. I'll re-go through slow release phosphate for root growth, right? And then definitely it's a long-term fertility way of getting phosphorus to your plants in acidic soil. Obviously, this is not pertaining to us because we have very basic soil. And so you could add a little bit more. This is usually mined. You can make rock phosphate. Just remember, y'all, please do not buy the synthetic form of phosphate, which would not have rock in front of it. That was made in the lab. Again, I know I said it last time, it should stay in a lab. And so rock phosphate is the way to go. If your plant, for example, is not having a lot of roots. Right now, I'm having issues with grubs. You can buy a hormone that helps your plants or trees, especially grow roots. You can also get some rock phosphate to promote that. Rock phosphate, whenever you apply it, it is not like your nitrogens or your bone meals and your blood meals. This one, the best way to use rock phosphate is dig a little hole, put a little hole on the side of your pot, drop a pinch in, close that up. The roots can come to the rock phosphate when they need it, and then they can deter themselves whenever they don't need it. Yeah, I know. I'm teaching you all the farmer secrets today. I know you're excited. I was just say it. That was a good one. And so, the other soil amendment that I also really love is green sand, and I love green sand because I used to live next to a guy that actually mined from his own property green sand in West San Antonio. We have green sand, and actually, that's where this bag is from. Green sand. And what green sand is are all those beautiful microfilaments from the bottom of ocean floors. And we have that here, which is awesome. And so what they can do is they can nicely scoop that into a bag and sell it to you. And it's green. It's also really pretty. And that introduces a lot of micronutrients into your garden. And so great addition to potassium. In your garden, iron, magnesium, and other trace minerals. And so it's really, really good for clay soils that need to be loosened, and then also sandy soils that need that nutrients in it. And so I was a little jealous of my neighbor because they were actually bagging up their green sand, and I didn't have any green sand on my property, but I was right at that line. What's that? Usually any nursery will have this. Sadly, the nurseries, when you purchase it, it's like in the 45-pound bags.
Oh.
Share it with your neighbors. You do not probably need 45 pounds. And then it also helps increase root growth. The other one I want to give you a huge shout out to, and this is what we also use with Gardopia, is lava sand or red sand. And that's exactly what it is. It's crushed, cooked lava sand. Yeah, it's not true. It's not a true sand, but it improves your soil structure. What I do not recommend is you get really happy with lava sand because it does a lot of great things for your soil, and you put a thick layer on top of your soil. It's going to act like a concrete once you wet it. You have to mix this in. Yes, I know. I made that mistake. And so it also helps with moisture. There are so many little grooves in lava rock where bacteria can hide, where water can hide. And so it really does help retain a lot of moisture. My bunnies are over here. I don't know if anybody wanted to hold one, but I just remembered they're there if y'all want to hold. Yes. And then, yes. Yes. And then if you have super duper clay soils, lava sand is recommended along with compost. Awesome. They are. Yes. I don't know. We have adopted them, a lot of them out. Maybe 5 in there. Yeah, I know.
You can't put on
4.5 pounds. Yeah. Um, the other soil amendment that you probably have seen, and this is the one I got overexcited about, is seaweed extract. Oh yeah. So not only do I eat seaweed, I know he's handing out the rabbits, right? Sorry. Let me check my time really quick. I know I get excited. Oh, seaweed extracts. So this amendment right here is really cool. If you have houseplants, highly recommend getting some seaweed extract and diluting that and also doing a foliar feeding. This will make your plants not only turn greener, it helps the cellulose and the cell walls of your plants get thicker. If you see plants are struggling in the sun and you don't have a shade cloth and you magically have some seaweed extract, which you probably don't, you can foliar feed and you can actually help make their cell walls thicker. So you are actually helping them become more resistant to heat, or this can go vice versa to the cold. It's really cool. And so seaweed, if you don't consume it, it's also really good for you, right? It's also really good for plants. And so and indoor foliage, yes. This can also help with outdoor as well.
That's good.
Yes, yeah, and you can use. Yes, go ahead. You can use it on fish.
Bottle like that, no. Like,
You can have this for a couple years.
okay, so it would
Yeah.
cover like a whole garden area, like your house garden.
Yeah, you don't need much. It doesn't need much.
It's
Yes.
supposed to be.
No, yes. This is what I tried. I actually drove to Corpus and I found all the seaweed on the beach, and then I tried to squeeze that. I probably got like 5 drops. And then I was like, I made my own seaweed extract. Just don't do that. Because I was like, we have so much seaweed. All right. You can also mix this into the soil. You can give it directly to the base of your plants to help it get stronger, pretty much. Azomite. I'm a huge fan of azomite as well. I do want to say this, y'all. For all of the amendments that I'm talking about today, I kind of think them as a luxury item. If you have money, go for it. Spend it, right? On wonderful things like this. If you don't, compost. Compost is your best friend and can actually magically do the wonders of everything that I just talked about. And so, but I do love azomite, and I'm going to talk about it. Azomite, I like to say that this is like the gold ring, the platinum ring of weddings. What's that?
How much?
This 44-pound bag is about $65. But let me tell you this, the wonderful thing about azomite is it does carry over 70, it used to be 84, right now they've reduced it to 70 plus trace minerals in your soil. Once you put it down, you will not have to put it down for about 10 plus years. So it's really awesome. Yeah. What's that? No, not compost, azomite.
So if I put that, I don't have to add anything to it.
So these are just trace minerals. You'll still have to put NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Yes. I know. Good question. That's what I thought too. No, sadly. And so I know. Oh, Kara's writing on there. It's okay. Hi, Kara. I saw Kara earlier. We were doing the Master Naturalist program earlier.
That's what you need, like your primary. Great.
Yes. If you have really bad soil, I would highly start with this and compost.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. This is a wonderful addition to your soil. For those of you who are wondering what all those products are in the store, I'm just trying to explain each of those organic ones. Biochar. I really laughed. There was a podcast I was listening to, and it was by Elaine Ingham, who is in charge of the Soil Web. I don't know if you've seen the Soil Web. No. Okay. Anyways, Elaine Ingham is a teacher and also a little bit of a researcher, but she is totally against biochar. But I have seen with my own 2 eyes underneath the microscope the benefits of biochar. And what is it? Biochar is wood that we have pretty much cooked to a high temperature, and then we shut off the oxygen. So the structure is actually there to where it doesn't turn into ash. And there are many benefits to biochar because it was wood, and there's all these grooves that water and bacteria can live in, and mycorrhizae. So this is a really great thing to add into your soil. It does a lot of wonderful things. And it also adds carbon. carbon is great. For those of you who don't have a lot of carbon sources in your soil is carbon, but this is also a really great carbon source. It can help a lot with smell, right? If you want to add into your compost. But this is also a wonderful soil amendment. And then if you are going to be adding this into your soil mixture, you don't need more than 5% biochar, right? 5%. Yes, question. Yeah. So, Elaine, that's a really good question. I was going to get to that. Left eye, swollen, brain impacted. Yes. For the teachers in here, I know y'all understand. She actually said that if you're going to be adding, she doesn't see a rhyme or reason to biochar because whenever you add compost, it already adds all those grooves that biology can live in. But also biochar is wood. She was pretty much like, why don't you just add old pieces of wood into your soil and it'll do the exact same thing. And so, she was like, why waste your money pretty much? And so I can understand both ways, but I have seen that there are quite a bit of things that live in biochar. So, mulch is another soil amendment, right? I have used mulch as soil before, but those are for plants that don't need a lot of nutrients. Remember, mulch does not have a lot of nutrients. It doesn't have any nutrients in it really because it's freshly ground up. And so this is great for it's what?
Sit down because you know how clay is very, very
Oh,
fast.
yes. You can use mulch as an organic matter into your clay. Yes, into your clay soil. Yes. I will say this, a forewarning. If you buy hardwood mulch, right? Like cedar mulch or cedar mulch, some other hardwood mulch, and you make a thick layer, put it on a thick layer, as a thick layer, it will actually harden, right? If you don't mix it in with something else, it'll harden. It's like magic, I know. And it'll be really hard to get actually water into it. So be aware that if you are mulching, right, you want to introduce some other things if you want it eventually to turn into beautiful soil. So yes, it will harden. And then of course it's great for weed suppression and regulating soil temperature, right? They say that if you have about 3 inches of mulch and right underneath that soil, Texas soil, let's say, the temperature is about 10 to 15 degrees cooler underneath that mulch. So it does make a huge difference. Yeah. Can you imagine mulch in your beautiful soil and then a tree? Man, I bet your soil can stay at 80 degrees underneath the tree. Yeah. And so these are some, oh, sorry. This is also, I know I'm going kind of fast, y'all, but y'all know I like to talk. So save money and more plants. I highly recommend y'all start making your own potting mixes, right? Make your own soil, be adventurous, save money. Every time you buy a bag of potting mix, right? That is pretty expensive. And so way back then, if I was teaching this class 50 years ago, I would have told you to go to the store and go buy peat moss. Big block of peat moss, $10, man, and you can make so much soil with that. But I don't really recommend that anymore because peat moss is a non-renewable resource. There is some peat moss companies that put renewable peat moss, and all that really means is that they had permission from most of our peat moss comes from Canada, which I also think is silly because they have the peat bogs there, right? And it's mined. And so they got permission from the government to say that, okay, this is not coming from a natural area where it's needed, where there's a lot of biology growing, a lot of biological life growing. So they got permission. So they're calling it renewable peat moss, but still it is a limited resource. And so I would recommend that y'all try to navigate towards cocoa coir or cocoa husks. And all this is coconut shells, which is the leftovers from coconut water that y'all drink, right? And they grind that up really nicely and it acts like soil, which is really cool. It retains water really well. The other thing I really want y'all to see here is peat moss is really acidic. Usually organic matter is a little bit acidic, but this is really acidic. It's 3.5. So a lot of times when you introduce peat moss into your gardens, it will kill the bacteria in your gardens. And so keep that in mind. If you want that acidity to go away, you can let it sit for a long time. right? You can add compost. But coco coir actually has a pH of 6. That's a great number to be adding into your Texas San Antonio Zone 9 garden. And then the other thing that you can add into your coco coir is perlite. So perlite is great for drainage and aeration, right? Again, it's this volcanic rock. I like to say perlite is that volcanic rock that's heated so hot it turns white and it pops, right? And so, yeah, it's really cool and it's light and it looks like styrofoam. It's not styrofoam, y'all. I did have a co-teacher once who actually started like, I'm sure y'all have done this before too. She got styrofoam and she started like breaking it all apart. She's like, I'm gonna add it to my soil. Please don't do that, y'all. Microplastics. No. Perlite is a rock. Styrofoam is plastic. Yes, go ahead.
But perfect. I did my rock. I think coconut.
You what?
It floated up, she said.
Oh, you put too much. Okay. She said she put some perlite in her pot and it floated up. You just put too much. Add a little bit more compost in it. That's okay. No worries. Yeah. Yeah. And then of course we have vermiculite. So this is actually what I used to use in a lab to grow a ton of plants, hundreds of thousands of plants in a greenhouse. Vermiculite. You don't necessarily need it, but it's great as well. Also a rock. It's a silicate rock. And it also retains water. It does a great job of holding nutrients as well. So you'll never know what vermiculite and perlite are. Now y'all are going to sound all fancy when you're at the store. I was like, oh, can I have some vermiculite and perlite, please? Yes, you can because we carry it. I know. I just want y'all to sound smart. This is what I use, and a lot of times at Gardopia as well. This is our seed starting mix. It's clean. It doesn't have a lot of bacteria. It's okay if you use compost like I did for this, just water correctly. 3 parts coco coir, 1 part perlite, and a little bit of compost. Okay. So if you are soaking your seeds, I'm going to tell you another little farmer secret. You can add a little bit of fertilizer or a little bit of compost into that seed soak, and that'll introduce it to some extra nutrients and some good bacteria. Yes. They will soak water faster, they will germinate faster. Yes. Potting mix, which is not for seeds. Potting mix should have more nutrients in it. Seeds don't need a lot of nutrients whenever they're growing right out because they're getting it from the seed, right? And so potting mix, 3 parts coco coir, 3 parts compost, 1 part perlite, and then a little bit of bone meal goes a long way for this. So, sorry, blood meal, nitrogen. You need a nitrogen source. So potting mix. So these are definitely some recipes for you all. If y'all ever see dolomitic acid, not acid, but lime, this can be used when using peat moss to make sure that your pH is at about 6 or 7. Yeah. The lime is very basic. And so, but yeah. And then compost tea, one of my favorites to do at home. There are some nurseries that sell compost tea. And what they do is they'll get some fresh, not dried earthworm castings. When you go to the store, you're buying dried earthworm castings. And those dried earthworm castings have good bacteria and fungi. But 50% of what that bacteria and fungi that could have been in there are actually all dead. And then most of them are sleeping. So you're going to rejuvenate it once you water your garden, right, with water. So fresh earthworm castings, and you can get a stocking. I know no one wears stockings anymore. So you can use cheesecloth and tie that into there. It's about 2 cups per 5-gallon bucket. And you can let that simmer. I like it simmer. I call it simmer. It's not simmering. Sorry. Don't cook it, please. You're going to, maybe not even steep. You're going to let it bubble. You're going to let it bubble for about 12 hours. And if you add just a touch of sugar or molasses in there, that'll actually help your bacteria in all of that compost reproduce super quickly, and sometimes mycorrhizae. And you can introduce that into your garden. And so this is a really cheap way to make a lot of good vermiculite vermicompost or earthworm castings, that bacteria, and introduce it into your garden. Yeah. So this is really, really awesome. Have y'all heard of compost tea? So a gallon right now is going for about $20. That's expensive, right? When you can actually, from this class, you can learn to make your own. Yes. Yeah. Any questions on?
Casting and work.
Yes. Castings are the worm poops. Yes. I'm going to quickly jump into plant hardiness zones. If y'all remember and recall, what hardiness zone are we in? We are in 9. Very good. And so if you magically look at this beautiful map that's colored for you, it shows you the planting zone numbers. Number 1 is at the very, very top where Canada is almost, right? And then we have number 2, we have number 3. Oh, sorry. Number 3 is Canada. Number 4 is right about here. Number 5, they kind of go in strips. It really, really does have a lot to do with where you are, from how far away from the equator you are, and how close to the sun. Right. And when we talk about zones, these are standards by which growers can determine which plants are most likely to thrive in our area. Right. And so we are in zone 9. Oh, we're this. Okay. So this is an old planting zone map. This is an old planting zone map. And then zones. What's that? Zone 9 used to just be the very tip of Texas. I'm going to show you. This has changed. Totally changed. And zones are actually not supposed to change every 10 years. Zones are actually supposed to change probably every couple hundred years. And so zones are divided into the average minimum low temperatures expected for these areas. And so this is 2 years ago. We had San Antonio. We had maybe the bottom of San Antonio and west of San Antonio. That was zone 9A. And the rest of San Antonio, the majority of San Antonio was actually 8. Yeah. And so I'm going to show you something last year. This is zone 9. All of San Antonio. And the very bottom of Bernie is actually now zone 9. And so we are experiencing more extreme temperatures. And for zone 9, I know it's kind of crazy to see. This is what they categorize zone 9 as, right? We get over 250 days of frost-free days. For those of you who have peach trees that need a certain amount of hours of frost hours, right? That's being a little bit reduced. And so there's a peach tree that I have. It's not the La Felicia, don't worry. That I have that needs actually over 900 hours of frost or freezing temperatures. And so we don't get that. Yeah, we definitely don't get that. Zone 9, we have these very, very mild winters, and we have hot, long summers. That's totally us. And then we have average temperatures in the wintertime that can reach, actually, the last 3 winters, we've reached about 16 degrees, but 20 to 25 degrees are our lows for our winter time. And so
Plant needs that frost, but you don't get it.
then you're not going to get fruit. If you have a plant that does not reach their frost hours or their chill temperature, sorry, they will not fruit. So that's just kind of, what's that?
It'll just be a pretty tree.
Yeah, my poor peach tree. It just sits there.
Are there peach trees that need less frost?
Yes. So now, especially our nurseries are trying to sell. I have a peach tree right now. It's called the Texan something. It only needs 100 hours of chill hours, which is awesome. So I know for sure it'll actually have peaches this spring. Yeah. And then our 2 planting seasons. So San Antonio is awesome. I like to brag about San Antonio because we actually have 2 planting seasons instead of 1, right? You can plant a good crop in the spring and you can plant a good crop in the fall. Did you want to put her back? Oh, okay. She's getting tall, but she doesn't want 1 bunny. She wants 2. And then rainfall. In San Antonio, we don't get a lot of rain, 26 to 32 inches per year. Last year, we got an average, I think it was only 28 inches of rain. That is not a lot of rain, right? We are still in drought. We're actually in our 4th year of intense drought. Our aquifer is low. Yes, we've had actually 32 inches of rain this year. Yes, I know. Yay. That's probably going to be it though. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking. There's hope, y'all. Someone do a rain dance. Yeah. Emily needs to do a rain dance. And then water.
Closer to the edge where like Bernie and them are, where it's like right on the cusp, and then I'm already, that's what I'm asking.
No, sorry. No,
Which one?
it might be a little bit worse over there, actually. Water wisely here, please, everyone. If you're going to be watering early in the morning, 5 to about, I would say 10 a.m. That's when we want to water. That's when your plants are waking up, and that's when they want to water. All right. Seasonal planting. We're going to go into seasonal planting, and I'm going to show you a planting guide, which will help you decide on what to plant right now, right? If it is right now, November, do I want to plant watermelon seeds in November? No. Good job. No, that doesn't make any sense because the watermelons are going to pop out in the winter time. And so seasonal planting guides are what you want to look at. There are so many planting guides online. Gardovia has one. Rainbow Garden has one. Shades of Green has one. Everybody has their own planting guide. They're all pretty much the same. And so cool season crops. These are crops that love the cold weather, which are going to be all your vegetables usually. So nothing with a seed inside. Your leafy greens, your spinach, your kale, cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, all of those love cold weather, right? And so you want to start these indoors, usually at about July and August. I know it's blazing hot outside, but you want to start them indoors. They're not going to be beaten by the sun. And then we'll usually put them in the ground in about September, October. And then direct sow, which means you're not going to put it in a pot or grow them indoors. You're going to actually put it in your garden right away. Put the seed in your garden right away. Are going to be radishes, carrots, beets, lettuce, spinach. And you want to put those in anywhere in between September and February. That is for zone 9 hardiness zones. And then also, if you want to start up garlic, onions, or shallots, October and November are prime time for those. But I do know people who grow garlic like myself and shallots in January. I put them down. Not bad. Yeah, go ahead.
So I did see that I thought it was really weird. I'd never seen it, but I think it's rainbow here had carrot and beet start. Right.
That's a good.
How do you see it split?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have seen beets and carrots sold in pots. Yeah. So we actually teach. I'm sorry, little loofah. We actually teach students. You hold the pot from the top. You hold it, tap, 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 let them loose, and then you hold the whole plant without the pot, and then you can actually hold. So just really gently. Oh, you can thin them out. Yeah. It takes really fragile hands. Thinning out, just grabbing the base of the plant and slowly tearing it away. It's okay if a little bit of damage is done, but yes, I know that does happen a lot though.
Carrots with. About a couple of big things.
Oh,
Then still take root.
Yeah. If you thin them out, yeah, and then plant them right next to a couple inches over, yes. Yeah. They should be able to still survive. Yes.
My tomatoes, they grow like this. I put them underwater.
And they rooted?
Kind of.
Yeah. You can do cuttings of tomatoes. I actually do that all the time. Whenever I don't want to buy a tomato plant, I'll just do a cutting, put it in water, and it roots. Yes. But if you start doing that, just know you're going to have like 100 tomato plants that you don't want to plant. So,
So what
Yeah.
do you say? You could do, because I was talking about the roots.
She said
The
that
roots
to
just
thin them. She's talking about to thin.
to thin them.
And then
Sorry.
kind of break the roots softly, and then they.
Yeah. You can use water to soften the roots. Yes. I'm talking about tomatoes are actually vines, and you can actually do cuttings of them. So you do a cutting of the tomato plant, and you can let it sit in water, and it'll start rooting.
Oh, the actual vine?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, those will turn into roots.
Awesome. And then warm season crops. So this is usually your fruits, anything with a seed inside. I know it's not like magic. Cold season is just vegetables. Warm season is fruits. And so definitely think about your tomatoes and peppers and eggplants. Those do well here. I'm only putting the plants that do well on this presentation here. Direct sow, if you want beautiful squash, if you want cucumbers, melons, beans, plant them right now. Right now is the time. And then, of course, your more heat tolerant plants, everybody loves okra, right? If you don't, okay, that's good. If I was talking to kids, I'd be like, ew, or what is that? Okra, sweet potatoes actually do really well in the heat. Southern peas don't do northern peas. Southern peas do really well here. Basil, oh, loves that sun. Oregano also loves that sun. Malabar spinach, oh my gosh, I don't like the taste of Malabar spinach, but does really well here. So
We planted basil in my garden and it started out, with a little rounded kind of leaves.
Yeah.
But eventually it got kind of aggressive looking where the leaves turn
pointy. That's a lot of sun.
Okay,
Yeah, it's from a lot of sun.
That's my thought.
And then I do want to encourage you all, if you do have a space that's getting too much sun, shade cloths, right? Shade cloths. Get a 20% shade cloth and that'll do well for your plants. It will do wonders. This is Gardopia's planting guide. I know it's really teeny tiny. We can also post this. I know it's super tiny. I just wanted to show you. If you magically say, hey, it's the second, third week of April, what can I plant? Well, April's right here. Hey, I can do artichoke. I can do beans. I can do beets. It's awesome. This is the second part of our spring planting guide. We also have a fall one. And then here, this is our, what's that? It is. It is. It is. Yes. Yes. Yeah. We can also put it up on our Teachable account as well. And then this one is, I think this was from Shades of Green, but this will actually talk about regions. And then they made up their own regions up here, which is kind of cute. Yes. Ha, ha. Yeah. Extra effort there. Don't need to do that though. And then this is actually from Texas A&M. I do like this one. It is kind of hard to read because you don't know whether if it's seeds or transplants. And so, but anyways, they'll say here transplants February 1st through, but yeah, if y'all magically want to know what y'all can plant right now, you can look at planting they're called planting guides. Yeah, I know I'm kind of breezing through this. And then again, if you don't know what direct and indirect sow are, indirect means that you're not going to put it straight in the ground, and direct actually means you're going to put it straight in the ground. I know, very hard vocabulary here. I know. You will be quizzed on this later. For those of you who want a really cheap way of having a good amount of space in between your seeds instead of throwing them all into one hole, which is what our students like to do, they have these really cool devices. You can actually make your own. I made my own where I actually got nails and I stuck it on wood with 3-inch spaces in between each nail, and you can mark it. Just step on it, mark it, and then they'll make holes for you, and then you can put a seed in each hole. So, but really awesome. Math in the garden. Direct sow vegetables. Really, really good are beans, onions, carrots, radish, spinach, lettuce, corn, leeks. For those of you who want corn this summer, plant it now, please. Yeah, don't forget corn. Yeah, corn is so much fun to grow. And if you've never had fresh corn right off of the plant, it's so good. Yes, you do not need to cook corn. Did y'all know that? Yeah. It's super smooth. What's that? Oh, yes. I was just trying to exaggerate and emphasize corn. Yes, go ahead.
I've been wanting to grow corn, but
She's been wanting to grow corn.
the amount that you can't find non-GMO. So are the Arabian seeds non-GMO?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like I didn't think
We're gonna actually talk about that. Good for you. You're just ready for the next slide. Heirloom seeds are not GMO. That's correct, and we're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna go a little bit faster because I know I can do this now. I have 9 minutes. Good teacher mode. Indirect sow. These are all the plants that you want to put in beautiful cells or extra pots. Tomatoes, pepper, eggplants, collard, kale, broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi, and cabbage. These do well whenever you are upsizing them into bigger pots or starting them out as little itty bitty transplants. And I'm going to give Texas Superstars a huge shout out. If you want to save a ton of water, right, look for this label. If it's a Texas native plant, right? Texas Superstars were these are great plants that don't need a lot of water, and they bring wonderful pollinators into our garden. And so we do need to be thinking about the pollinators in our gardens. If you ever notice, whenever we're out in our schools, we actually plant vegetables, and at the edge of all of our beds, we put flowers. Yes. Haha. Or we'll put it in the field as well. We want sorry, out of all our schools, we will actually put vegetables, and then at the edges of our bed, we'll put pollinator plants, flowers. Yeah. But Texas Superstars. I also, this is probably Dom's favorite tomato. It's a really cool tomato. It's called the BHN 968. Say that 50 times in a row. Or the dwarf cherry surprise, right? This is a really cool tomato, and it really did change how we were dealing with tomato diseases, because this one is resistant to a very particular tomato disease. And yes, we will talk about diseases and IPM in another class, but very, very disease resistant. You can buy disease resistant. You can buy heat tolerant vegetables nowadays as well. And so just look for that. Seed packages. I do want to kind of go over this, but not really. When you look at the back of seed packets, they do help you. I don't know a single person who actually reads this though and uses it. Oh, man, good for you. Good for you. And so definitely it does help, especially when you're looking for seed spacing, right? Definitely read this, but a lot of good information is on the back. I will say this, a lot of this information may not pertain to you, right? This is for a very typical setting in a perfect setting. And so, but anyways, also just want to keep in mind that the depth that you are planting your seeds does matter. They did a study. They planted garlic, little bulbs, 2 feet down in the ground. They also planted 7 inches, and then they did one right on top of the soil. Right? Depth does matter. They didn't get any garlic 2 feet under the ground. They got a ton of garlic 7 inches, and then they got also none when it was on top. Right? And so just keep in mind that depth does matter. All right. I'm going to go into one of my favorites, and I wish I had learned this early in life, is GMO, hybrid, and heirloom. What do they mean? And what do you want to look for as an organic gardener? Usually you want to go for heirloom and or hybrid. You do not want to go for GMO. Okay? And so heirloom, what does it mean? It usually means that it's old, it's open pollinated. That is key, open pollinated, that has been passed down through a lot of generations. And usually that takes about 50 years. Usually chefs like to go for heirloom because the flavor is much better, right? The colors, the textures are also better. And then there's a lot of cultural heritage that goes into heirloom. And so I highly recommend you, if you see a farmer's market vendor that says heirloom, blah, 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 go for it, right? I got some heirloom tomato seeds from one of the vendors at the Pearl, and I actually have some of her seedlings somewhere. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. And they actually look like these tomatoes down here. Oh, I'm super excited. Hybrid. All this means that it was cross-pollinated for a trait that was desired. That does not mean that we went inside of its DNA and we played with it, right? And so this means that, for example, I put some examples of hybrid or cross-pollinated plants in here. If you've ever seen the baby kiwis, oh yeah, oh, those are actually really good. Those were actually cross-pollinated. It's really cool. The white strawberries are not GMO, which is awesome. They are actually cross-pollinated with something else, right? The ugly fruits, the pluots, I can't say it. I used to eat those. And so, but going into GMO. So, right, it's okay. And I would say it was probably necessary back way when we didn't have enough food here in America. We created more resistant food crops like corn, especially to disease, especially to heat, especially to pests, right? And so that's where GMO came in, which means genetically modified organism. And that means we got a snippet of DNA from a different organism that had that trait, and we put it into this plant. And I actually did a lot of this research. I used to play with DNA, and I used to insert it into different plants, right? And so when you look at corn, soybeans, cotton, potatoes, papaya, summer squash, canola, which is corn, and alfalfa, usually those will be GMO. Unless they are labeled non-GMO, it's going to be GMO. The popcorn, movie theater popcorn, which is actually its common name, popcorn corn. I know, so inventive. Is actually, that is GMO, right? And so genetically modified, conventional corn, whenever you're looking at this, so look down at this, there's no benefits detected, right? When you look at GMO, what has it done? It requires 6% less pesticide. for some pests to not to eat it, right? Produces enough calories to feed 88 million people more per year, produces 7.6 higher yields. I will say this, without GMOs, we would not be here, right? And so if you ever saw is it the yellow rice in India and in Asia, in Asian countries, there was a vitamin A deficiency in these countries. And what they did was they actually made a rice where if it was yellow, you would know that you were getting that vitamin A, and it saved a lot of lives. And so definitely benefits of heirloom. I already went over that. And then where to find them. Usually you find heirloom at just hand to hand, right? People, talking to people is going to be your best way. And then actually our botanical gardens does have some heirloom as well. I do want to give y'all, I'm gonna keep going and then we can, yeah. I'm sorry. I know we get excited. I'm still excited. Yeah. This is called organic greenwashing, and I fell into this a lot too. And this is not a good thing. Greenwashing. That's whenever you're tricked into buying something, knowing and thinking that it's good for you, right? But it is a way to trick you. Whenever we put the label green, you think, oh, environmental, oh, happy, saving the world, and that is actually a lot of there's a lot of tricksters out there, and so these labels can trick you. And so I do want y'all to be aware that if it doesn't say certified organic, right? It could be tricking you. And so we call this greenwashing. And what is organic? It's 100% organic, meaning that it was made with 100% organic. If you don't see 100% organic and just organic, it had to be at least 95% organic. Yeah, so that means that 5% could have been glyphosate. That other 5% could have been an herbicide, right? And then made with organic ingredients, 70% organic. And then USDA organic seal, only 100% or 95% organic plants. And so just some things to look out for whenever you are becoming an organic nerd like me. And then here, this is our USDA organic seal. If either of these labels you do see, that means it was made at least with 95% organic material. Non-GMO, and this is also, I always feel like this is greenwashing me. Whenever you see this, people tend to buy non-GMO products because they think it's organic. That is not the case at all. Actually, non-GMO, this label has partnered, they do partner up actually with a lot of probably companies that do use a lot of chemicals. And so just be aware. This is what usually you're looking for, the USDA organic.
What's the difference between the black one and the green one?
There's a difference. It depends on what color the outer cover is. And then so organic. So I actually got this out of my AP Environmental Science textbook. Synthetic substance allowed for use in organic crop production. There are certain chemicals that we do consider organic here in the USA. And so algicides, disinfectants and sanitizers. Sorry. Hold on, here. Y'all will need to read through this. I was a little alarmed when I read this because I was like, well, that doesn't seem organic to me. And so, but this is the USDA's standard. We can change this. You all can help change this, right? By saying something to any of our representatives and moving that up the chains. But anyways, here, y'all will all have this. Really quickly on seed saving. I know it's 7:31. I do apologize, y'all. I went over time, shame on me. But seed saving, when you seed save, just get the idea that less moisture, actually totally dried out, is better, right? You need stable temperatures. I cannot store my bean seeds outside in Texas heat. The humidity is way too hot, way too much here. And then also low light. So I actually have most of my seeds that I store in a deep dark closet in my bedroom. Right. And so it's clear of heating elements. It's clear of drastic temperature changes. Great storage area is also your refrigerator, but I know refrigerators are for food. And then if you ever want to test for viability, this is a general rule of thumb. Let's say you have some old beans and you want to know if they'll still grow, right? If they all float to the top on water, that means they're dead. Yeah. The baby plant inside died. That's okay. You can go make some bean flour or something. If they all sink, that means they are good. They're still living. There's still a little bit of water in there and you can revive them. And I did want to say, whenever you buy seeds, usually those seeds are meant to be used within a year. right? I would say max you could keep them as 5 years, but just know that there is a storage life for seeds. They can't last forever unless you put a wax coating on them. Yeah, sometimes when I buy seeds from the Asian grocery store, they'll have that green wax coating on them. Those you can actually store for a very, very long time, probably over 50 years. Yeah. And then,
Can you wax from your own seeds?
yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Amazon. Yeah, it's a special wax. Yeah, it doesn't go on as like as a candle wax. And then seedling. Oh yeah, I already kind of went over this, but there's this really special tool that you can get if you don't want to drop one seed at a time. This is actually a seed dispenser. I know, fancy. Or if you're like me, sometimes I use chopsticks. But anyways, and then that was actually a picture of thinning out. If you have too many seedlings coming out of one hole, instead of just plucking them out, you can chop them. Yeah, so make sure we're thinning out. What? Oh, okay. It's okay. And then planting methods. For tomatoes, we all know that tomatoes like to be planted pretty deep. But in general, you want to plant them at the soil line, right? You want to plant them at the soil line. Not too deep, not on top of the soil. And then whenever we're fertilizing, never fertilize on top of the leaves, always go around. We'd like to make circles. Blood meal, definitely go around instead of on top of the leaves. Kids like to do that. And then we use a cultivar to mix that in instead of your hands. And then cuttings. I love propagating through cuttings. Actually, most herbs you can do cuttings with. I can do cuttings from that pomegranate tree right there. I can do cuttings from the basil. I can do cuttings from the tomato plants, right? And so learning how to do propagating through cuttings is amazing. You're literally making a clone of that plant that you have. Yeah. What's the best soil for cuttings? Usually for cuttings, we'll use perlite. Yeah, perlite. This one, we just use a seed starting mix. But yeah. And then for those of you who have seen cutting or propagation hormone or the cutting hormone, right? You don't really need that. You don't really need that. If anything, if you want to use a little bit of aloe juice, you can do that, but you don't really need cutting juice. But anyways, always keep in mind you can do cuttings. That's always a fun one. And then buying and purchasing bare root. So it's actually not a bad idea, and it's a cheaper option to buy strawberries, trees, bare roots. That way you can wet it and you can spread out the roots. Much easier that way. What's that?
How do you know they're not dead?
Oh, they'll have some growth on them. You know that they're not dead because they'll have some growth. Always, y'all, whenever you're looking at roots, white, yellow roots means they're growing. If you ever have brown or black roots, that means it's dying. Okay. All right. So, and then of course, seed propagation. I kind of already went over that. Okay. But one of the last things I want to talk about is grafting. And I just kind of want to introduce this because this is a great way to really, really understand that we can glue trees together, right? But we have something called a rootstock, which means that it grows really well here in Texas. And usually we do this for our peach trees, our plum trees, and our pear trees. We'll have a rootstock of a tree that does well here. And then we'll get the fruit that we want to grow, a branch of that, and then we will actually cut it to where their xylem and phloem are matched. And you can actually grow that fruit tree on that really good rootstock, right? This is almost like magic. And when you learn how to do grafting, man, it really does change your life. I have grafted 2 of my peach trees at home. It's really, really awesome. And then you just tape it up. You tape them together. And once you see a little bit of growth coming out of your little peach tree cutting, you're just like, yes, I'm gonna get good peaches this year, right? But anyways, grafting is a really cool concept. Please, for those of you who are interested in it, look it up. It's a really great way, especially here. Whenever you want good fruit growing. And then tissue cultures. This is something that's really done a lot whenever you have home houseplants. You can grab a little bit of the tissue of that money plant or that pothos. You can actually grow it on a petri dish. And it'll have the exact same genes as that original. I know, it's really cool. I used to do this in the lab a lot too. And so all you need is a little bit of their tissue and you can grow that exact same plant. And so, yeah.
That's good.
It depends on what plant you're growing, but not long. It's a very quick way to get a lot of plants. All right. I know I went kind of fast. I am going to answer any questions y'all have. But please, y'all, please keep up your volunteering. I love seeing y'all on Saturday volunteer events and the farmers markets. Please keep it up. Everywhere you go, you will learn something. And then we will be posting some articles. Please read those. It's light reading usually. If you have the app like me, it reads the article for you while you're in the car. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then also, I did get a couple of requests about y'all wanted to learn more about composting. And I told you we'll have that date soon for another composting class. So we'll have that soon. But thank you all so much. For those of you who would like to hang back, y'all can try to practice using one of these. I have some really, really wet soil where you can start practicing using one of these, what were these called again? Soil blocks. I also brought, if y'all wanted to mix your own, potting soil, there's, perlite and compost and a little bit of potting soil that y'all can mix up, as well. And then, yes, let me see y'all's comments on here. I'm not very good at checking the comments, so I do apologize. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Jody. Thanks, Lauren. My high school ag teacher called it a brownie press. Oh my goodness. I love it.
Oh, right. Right.
And then if you needed to connect them to Teachable, Stephen is right there. Yes, if y'all are having issues with Teachable, y'all can connect with Stephen. Okay, so for my understanding, thanks y'all. One is missing.
Big one. So
Have a good one, Lorraine.
well, the kids are getting ready to use it. We got it as part of the grant so they could use it.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna tell you.
We got it from, we got it, last fall.
Okay.
And so
Bye, Mary. We'll see you. Bye, Cara. It's good seeing you again, Cara.
here, we haven't started our greenhouse yet because we were gonna order like a greenhouse and our chicken coops and it's in, of course, because the egg stuff, everybody bought it, so all of our stuff will be. Okay, so
This is a
You're gonna-
website.
You're gonna add the articles to the
I will
email?
add the articles.
Okay.
Yes.
like,
All
You
right.
had such a great class, by the way.
Well, thank
punch it
you.
out.
They're asking if you're coming
Yeah.
again.
For the.
Oh, yeah? I'll be there soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
To be wet.
But it's called createheirloomsfoods.org and it's donation based. And
It
and they have a ridiculous amount of heirloom seeds and they